Dear friends, this is episode number 24. In the last episode, we were discussing the second problem which I had given, where you have to file the appeal to the High Court within 90 days. And we have seen that from the date of judgment to the date of copy application, you have lost 8 days. So we have written January 8 days lost. Then after the copy application is filed, you need not worry until the stamp papers are called for. Stamp papers were called for on 13/1. You have got 3 clear days time to produce it. You did not produce it. You produced the stamp papers only on 21/2020. So how many days lost there? 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20. 7 days lost. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 7 days. So January you have already lost 8 days, then again 7 days. Then stamp is produced. Once the stamp is produced, then thereafter you need not worry, it is the court's worry. But the court notified that the copy was ready. It was ready on 15/2 and the notified date is 18/2. That is the date on which you have to receive the copy. If you are free to receive it at any time after 15th when it is ready. 15th or thereafter, time begins to run at that time. Otherwise, you can receive it even thereafter, any time. But only thing is that time will begin to run from the date notified, namely 18/2. And here it was delivered on 20th February. 20th February. So, you are at fault from 18th onwards. So time begins to run from 18/2. Period of limitation is 90 days. So in January we have lost 8 plus 7. Then February, how many days lost? From 18th onwards time begins to run. What is the balance days available in February? 11. February 2020 contains 29 days. 29 days. So it was notified on 18/2. From that date onwards, time begins to run. So 11 days you have to account in February. Then even then we have not reached 90 days. Then March 31 days is available. April 30th. So how many days total? 87 days total. I will repeat, January 8 days you have lost, it is because of your fault. And again January you have lost 7 days because of your fault. Then February, copy was delivered. Date notified was on 18/2. Therefore time begins to run. How many days balance in February? 11 days. How many days are available in March? 31 days. You have to reach 90 days total. How many days there in April? 30 days. What is the total? 8 plus 7 plus 11 of February plus 31 of March plus 30 of April. That will take us to 87. 87 days. So you have got 3 more days to file the appeal. What is that 3 more days? In May 1st, 2nd and 3rd. So 3rd May is your last date for filing the appeal before the High Court. I said that from 10/4/2020 to 20th May 2020, the High Court remained closed for summer holidays. So 3rd May is a holiday during vacation. What is the reopening date? Which also I said reopening date is 21/5/2020. By that time, May 3rd, your 90 days expired. Your 90 days expired on May 3rd, but it is during vacation. Therefore, Section 4 of the Limitation Act will apply and you need not worry about it. You need file it on the reopening date. Reopening date is 21/5. So, the appeal has to be filed on 21/5/2020. If what is the last date according to the question, 3rd May is the last date. Since 3rd May is a vacation day and the reopening date is 21/5, you have to file the appeal only on you need file the appeal only on 21/5/2020. But the question here put is, what is the last date? Last date is 3/5, 3rd May is the last date. I think the computation is easy. So there is a method. So you have to see also the principles which I said in 1973 Kerala Law Times by Justice Subramaniam Poti. How I will again for your help. This was seen overruled, but it is not overruled. Some other point overruled, but that overruled decision is not good law in view of the Supreme Court judgment. So according to me, Justice Subramaniam Poti's judgment stands. That is 73 KLT 666 Mohammed versus Kunja Ahmad Haji. The day on which the application for copy is made and the day on which the copy is received should be excluded from the period of limitation. That we have done here. The day on which the application for copy is made. What is the day on which we made the copy? In the second example, 10/1. We have excluded that. Judgment date 1/1 also we have excluded. So 2nd January, 3rd January, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. So we have got lost 8 days. 10th you cannot take into, because 10th any time the copy application can be filed. You can file in the morning, you can file in the evening. So that is not the time at which you filed it. They exclude that day, that is it. The day on which the application for copy is made and the day on which the copy is received should be excluded. What is the date received? Delivered on 22. But that is not the date which is to be excluded. Time starts from 18/2. Once time starts, nothing stops. Section 9 of the Limitation Act. So this is the normal thing. As in the earlier example, it was delivered even before the notified date. First example, ready on 25/1, notified date was 27/1, it was delivered on 26/1. 26/1 is to be excluded. We have computed only the balance 5 days in January in that example. But in the second example, it is not the delivered date that is relevant. It is the date notified that is relevant. Time begins to run from that date. So the date of delivery cannot be excluded, because once time has begun to run, nothing stops it. Date on which stamp papers are called for and intervening holidays should be excluded. Stamp papers called for 15/1. Stamp papers called for on 13/1, produced on 20/1. We have excluded 13/1, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. We have taken into account only 7 days. Party is not bound to furnish, that is a different thing. So that this is the method of calculation. It is very easy once you master it. Then it goes on. Therefore, what I request to the lawyer friends, is that you create your own examples, just like this, and then find out what is the last date. If you do it 10 times, 20 times, it will be very easy. So that once you master it, you are in command. Nobody can boast. Otherwise, if you do not know, see, the person who knows it, your clerk or junior, he will boast. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Whereas you know. See, if you are a senior, see, your juniors will expect you to give the answer. If you are a judge, you have to give the answer. So that let us master it. Suppose in the second example, last date I said 3/5, but since it is a vacation and the court reopened on 21/5, you need file it only on 21/5. If you file it on 21/5, it is perfectly within the period of limitation. Suppose the appeal is filed on 23/5, take that. 21/5 is the reopening date. Last date is 3/5. But since it is vacation, you need file it only on 21/5, the date of reopening. You filed it on 23/5. What happens? What is the extent of delay? 2 days? No. Extent of delay is right from 3rd May. 3rd May delay occurs. The facility is available to you only if you file it on the reopening date. If you do not file it on the reopening date and you file it at your leisure, time begins to run from the last date. Last date being 3/5. If you file it on 23/5, there will be a delay of 20 days. 20 days delay. So 1 day delay is real delay. 21st you have to file it, you file it on 23rd. Maximum 2 days. It is not 2 days, it is 20 days. So that if you avail the facility, there are certain restrictions also. If you do it properly, correct? Nothing wrong. So these are the examples. Now we go to section 13. 13. Just while dealing with section 2, I have referred to 13. Exclusion of time in cases where leave to sue or appeal as a pauper is applied for. So 2 types of cases. Leave to sue as a pauper, leave to appeal as a pauper. So it applies to suits and appeals. What is the provision in the CPC for filing a suit in forma pauperis, that is as an indigent person? Order 33. What is the provision for filing an appeal as an indigent person? Order 44. So Order 33 and Order 44 are the provisions for where the procedure is provided for filing a suit or appeal, as the case may be, as an indigent person. So that much we must be aware of. Then, in computing the period of limitation prescribed for any suit or appeal, in any case where an application for leave to sue or appeal as a pauper has been made and rejected, the time during which the applicant has been prosecuting in good faith his application for such leave shall be excluded. So a person filed a suit, he has to pay the court fee. He could not pay the court fee. He filed the suit as an indigent person. Then he has to make an application for leave to sue as a pauper, as an indigent person. The court has to consider it. Court has to first entertain it, then after hearing the other side and after hearing the gun pleader, If necessary, the court will consider whether you are really a pauper, an indigent person. If the court finds that you are an indigent person, your indigent application will be allowed, and if it is allowed, you need not pay the court fee, and the suit will be disposed of, and your payment of court fee arises only if your suit is dismissed. If your suit is decreed, then that will form part of cost, and that cost will be realized from the opposite side who suffered the decree, and that will be, the government will be able to realize that amount. So the government will not lose the court fee. Question is whether at the threshold a party should be exempted from paying the court fee. If he is really an indigent person, he need not pay the court fee, but the court must be satisfied that he is an indigent person. The other side is also entitled to question the acceptability or otherwise of your case that you are an indigent person. Likewise, the state also will be heard, so that if an application is filed to file the suit as an indigent person or to file the appeal as an indigent person, let us take it suit as an indigent person, and that application was considered and rejected, what will happen? That means you are not allowed to file the suit as an indigent person. But you have got an option. Pay the court fee. Then what happens? The time during which the applicant has been prosecuting in good faith his application for such leave shall be excluded. We will read again. In computing the period of limitation prescribed for any suit or appeal in any case where the application for leave to sue as pauper has been made and rejected, the time during which the applicant has been prosecuting in good faith his application for such leave shall be excluded, and the court may, on payment of the court fee prescribed for such suit or appeal, treat the suit or appeal as having the same force and effect as if court fee has been paid at the first instance. True, your application for filing the suit, for leave to file the suit as an indigent person, was rejected. It took about 6 months from the date of filing that application to the date of disposal. By the time the suit is hopelessly barred, but your application is rejected, you have got the option to pay the court fee. You pay the court fee within the time permitted by the court. Then it must be deemed that your suit has been filed on the date on which you filed the application for permission to sue as an indigent person. It relates back by a deeming fiction, provided you have to prove that you were prosecuting the application in good faith. Prosecuting in good faith. That is a condition to be satisfied. Otherwise, you are a person who has got enough money and you wanted to gain time. Then if the other side says that no, he was not prosecuting this application in good faith, the court will inquire into it, whether there was good faith or aspect or not. If it is found that the application was being prosecuted in good faith, the court will allow that period to be excluded, and it will have the effect of as if the suit was filed on the date on which you originally filed the application for permission to sue as an indigent person. Now, what is the other provision? Other provisions which are relevant. Section 2, 2.2. Says, I am sorry, 3.2. I am sorry. For the purpose of this act, a suit is instituted. Subclause 1 we will omit. In the case of a pauper, when his application for leave to sue as a pauper is made. So, a suit is instituted in the case of a pauper when his application for leave to sue as a pauper is made. And if that application is allowed, all right, this is the date of filing the suit. If the application is rejected, you have to pay the court fee within the time permitted by the court, and section 13 says that the time during which you are prosecuting your application to file the suit as an indigent person will be excluded. So read both. Please also see Rule 15A, capital A of Order 33. 15A of Order 33. Grant of time for payment of court fee. Nothing contained in Rules 5, 7, Rule 5, Rule 7 or Rule 15 shall prevent a court. Various provisions in Order 33. While rejecting an application, this occurs in Order 33. Nothing contained in Rule 5, 7 or 15. There are three provisions where the indigent application, one is rejecting at the threshold, another is after making inquiry, etc., or dispaupering, etc. While rejecting an application under Rule 5 or refusing an application under Rule 7, from granting time to the applicant to pay the requisite fee within such time as may be fixed by the court or extended by it from time to time. And upon such payment, and on payment of the costs referred to in Rule 15, within that time, the suit shall be deemed to have been instituted. The suit shall be deemed to have been instituted on the date on which the application for permission to sue as an indigent person was presented. So, on payment of the necessary court fee, and upon such payment of necessary court fee, the suit shall be deemed to have been instituted on the date on which the application for permission to sue as an indigent person was presented. So, what is the meaning of this? Suit shall be deemed to have been filed on the date when originally you had presented the application for filing the suit as an indigent person. Then what was the necessity? What is the meaning of section 13 of the Limitation Act? There the good faith is there. Here good faith is not there. So my doubt always, we need not go to that extent, but this different approach is there. What is the legal effect? I did not see any decision. Suppose a party filed an application to sue as an indigent person. That was rejected. After inquiry it was rejected, found that yes, means to pay the court fee, sufficient means to pay the court fee. Therefore he is liable to pay court fee. That took about 1 year to have an adjudication. He got 1 year. And then the court will say, all right, you pay the court fee within 1 week or 2 weeks. Court fee paid. Rule 15A of Order 33, on payment of that court fee, the suit shall be deemed to have been instituted on the date on which the application for permission to sue as an indigent is made. By a deeming fiction, deemed to have been. Civil Procedure Code provides for it. Then a doubt arises. What is the necessity of exclusion? Then under section 13. Then again in section 3(2), clause 2. For the purpose of this act, a suit is instituted in the case of pauper when his application for leave to sue as a pauper is made. Deemed to have been instituted. So all these three provisions. Please check the question you also work up. I will also search and find out why this bona fide aspect is not there. So what is the significance of this prosecuting the application bona fide in section 13 of the Limitation Act? Suppose he was not prosecuting the matter bona fide, he is not entitled to get exclusion. If so, what is the meaning of Rule 15A of Order 33, which was introduced by the 1976 amendment? So cannot that party say, look at Rule 15A, my application was rejected, alright, I paid the court fee which is within time as directed by the court. Then going by Rule 15A, it shall be deemed to have been presented, filed on the date on which I filed the application for permission to sue as an indigent person. So I need not get exclusion. We will see in the next episode. Thank you.